Hello, this is Thomas Van Bommel for PROG2200, Module 3, Weapons by Interface. The assignment here is mostly to learn about using interfaces and to do so with making weapons for our previous assignment, which was vehicles by inheritance. So the first part here is health. In my my implementation, I have a health interface. So my health interface has three methods: a repair method, a damage method, and a get health method. So anything in my simulation that would have health would implement this interface and also implement these three methods. For example, our vehicle. Scroll up to the top, I can see here it implements health, and that it has a health value of 100, and that it does include those three repair, damage, and get health methods. On the repair method, just adds to the health, damage method subtracts from the health, and get health just returns the health. Next part here is a fire bullet. I actually just did a regular bullet. As there's no display, I don't really see a benefit in it being on fire. Bullet goes in the same direction as vehicle, so I guess where I'll start next is I have a weapon abstract class, which is what all my weapons, so bullet, sonic wave, defense mine, and chimney blast, all are children of this weapon abstract class, or implement this abstract class. And this abstract class implements these interfaces: transformable, fireable, causes damage, and nullable. And the transformable, basically, if we go into that, transformable interface is everything in the simulation that can move. So things that have a position and a rotation. It has to implement two methods: get transform and set transform. And so this is our weapon class. We can see that the get transform and set transform methods have been implemented. You just can't set transform to null. That's the only restriction there. So that just lets you know when an object has a transform or not. Fireable is an object that can shoot or fire. So if I open up that interface here, all things that shoot, and just implements one method, fire. And if we can see here that the fire method by default in the weapons abstract class will fire if the weapon is not null. Or sorry, if the weapon is null, return false, as if it couldn't fire. The result, and then it returns the result, which is whether or not it could fire. And essentially, when a weapon becomes null, it can't fire, and that is where nullable comes in. And so nullable is another interface. Anything that can be nullified. It says two methods is null, and then to make that object nullified. So like a bullet, for instance, we would want it to only, well, actually I have it implemented here. I'll bring it up. So we can see I might be getting ahead of myself here. Anyways, so nullable, anything that can be null. And if it is null, if it is null, you should be resetting the weapon, or like getting rid of the weapon because it's been used. Causes damage is for any item that can cause damage to another item. So the cause damage interface here takes a health interface object and can cause damage to it. And then there's also a safety on these cause damage items, which, so if you're carrying it around with you, you can check whether or not it's safe to carry, or if it's going to explode or cause damage. So close those up. If we take a quick look through here, see if there's anything else I should mention. Weapons also have a strength value and a damage radius. The strength value is just how much to take away basically from your health value when causing damage. The damage radius is a requirement of the assignment. Bullets are small, sonic waves are large, defense mines are large, chimney blasts are just go straight up, and so they have a damage radius. Is null, as I said, is like if the weapon has been used, gets set to true and it can't be used again. Is safe is like, are you carrying it with you, or have you shot it and it's not safe and it will damage someone currently. And that's the weapons class, so I guess we'll go on to the bullet. Our bullet here has a strength of 10 as per the assignment. A radius of 0.1. It just says it needs to be small and fast, so I had a speed of 0.5. That's 0.5 units per frame that it'll move. And so on its update method, it just simply, if it's been fired, so if it's if it's not null and it's not safe, then it moves forward. Damage will only allow the bullet to damage one health object, and then it nullifies itself. And so it won't cause any damage to any other objects, as we'll see later in my simulation code. And that's bullet. Fire sonic wave. I just have sonic wave. Has a strength value of 5 as per the assignment. A radius of 5, just says large and slow, and so I gave it a speed of 0.01, so it does move very slowly. I did give my sonic wave a maximum distance that it can travel. Something I didn't do for the bullet. So technically the bullet could travel infinite distance, and that it never nullifies itself unless it hits a target. The sonic wave is different in that it can only go a certain distance of 5 units, or hit a max damage of 50 points. And so yes, it does have a strength of 5, but it doesn't kill itself after it's hit one. It doesn't nullify itself after it's hit one health interface. And so the damage count here simply counts up till max damage. Once it hits to max damage, it nullifies itself as per the update down here. And same thing with distance traveled, max distance there. Damage, this weapon causes up to max damage on many health objects. So adds up damage, and then when it gets to the point, it nullifies itself, or when it gets to a distance traveled, it nullifies itself. And that guy also travels forward as per the assignment. Defense mine is the next one. Defense mine here has a strength of 25 as per the assignment. The assignment says it's large. I gave it a radius of 2. That's fairly large. And a speed of 0.1. And the speed only affects it going down. So my defense mine, even though it does say that it's stationary, I made mine so that when it's placed, if it's above ground, it will slowly fall to the ground, and then it'll stay there once it has been on the ground. This guy does have a radius of 2, as I said, and it nullifies itself after a single incident, after a single damage. And that's the defense mine. The Chimney Blast is next then. So this is my Chimney Blast here. Strength value of 5 as per the assignment. Radius of 1. I figured it would be fairly small and just go up fairly high. It's also fairly quick at twice the speed of a bullet. And has a max distance of 20, so it can go 20 units before it kills itself. Distance traveled to enforce the max distance. And then my update method just enforces that. And the Chimney Blast also, as per the instructions, travels straight up, and that is what we're doing. We're just incrementing on the z-axis there until we reach the max distance. And it will not nullify itself when it damages another object, so technically this one does not have a max damage. It could just keep damaging until it reaches that max damage a bunch of vehicles, or whatever objects, I suppose, health interfaces. Connect one vehicle keyboard or mouse for firing, or get random weapons to fire at random. So in my vehicle class, excuse the comments down here, must have been working on some stuff. In my vehicle class here, I have a TTS, which is a time to shoot, which is a random value between 0 and 50. Each frame that decrements, and then once it hits 0 or less than 0, if the weapon is not null and is able to fire, then it fires it, and that is the random shooting. Now this part is mostly the previous assignment. Random firing of weapons is new. And no marks, God interfaces. All my interfaces are very small. I tried to keep them as small as possible. As few methods as I could. Test one vehicle at a time, so I guess we'll go to the simulation here. So what I've done for simulation is here my main method, or my main class. I've got an array list of vehicles, which we can refactor to vehicles. Yeah, so I've got an array list of vehicles here, and whether or not logging is turned on. And then, so I've got a health test. And so this test calls this method down here, which simply creates a vehicle, and then damages that vehicle, repairs the vehicle, damages the vehicle again, and then checks the result to ensure that it has the correct health, and then echoes out whether or not it passed or failed. And we can see in the chat here the results of that. So we have the land vehicle, it's got 100, went down to 0 because we damaged it by 100, went back up to 100 because we repaired it by 100, and then went down to 50 because we damaged it again by 50, and then it passed the test. So that's our health test. 1 second here. Alright, the remaining tests are all damage tests. These tests, if we go down to the method here, simply creates two vehicles, one at 0, 0, 0, and then the other one at the offset given, the vector 3 offset. And then it takes an expected health because it will fire the weapon. It turns off, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself there. So it creates the two vehicles, turns off random driving on both the vehicles. It then clears the list of vehicles and adds them to the list. It then fires the weapon, whichever weapon was passed to the test, and then updates how many times the test is required to update. And that is another method down here we'll get into in a second. And then gets the results by printing or grabbing the second vehicle's health and checking if it's equal to expected health. And this last nullified boolean here is to check whether or not the weapon is supposed to be null after the test. And if it is supposed to be null after the test, it adds that into consideration as well. And then we'll print out whether or not it passed or failed. This update method, as I was saying, simply takes how many times it should update each vehicle. And then for each vehicle, it will grab the weapon and update the vehicle, log if required, check if the weapon is null, and then do collision detection with the other vehicles. And so for every other vehicle, if it's not equal to this vehicle, then we get the distance between the current vehicle and the other vehicle. If it's less than the weapon.getDamageRadius, then the weapon.damagesOther. And then, as we saw in my implementations of the weapons, that can nullify a weapon, and so if the weapon it becomes null, you break out of the loop, so you're not looping over the other vehicles for no reason. So that's our damage test method. So our first damage test here is to check speed, damage, radius, and whether or not the weapon gets nullified of the bullet. It is a lot of tests at once. I just got lazy and didn't want to have too many tests to go through in this video. So it does create the first vehicle with the bullet, creates a second vehicle at 2.5, which is exactly where the bullet should be in 5 cycles. So the bullet moves 0.5 every cycle. In 5 cycles, it should be at 2.5 and be able to damage our guy. We'll damage him by 10 points, so we expect that he will have 90 health afterwards. Our bullet has a radius of 0.1, so we should be able to stand out of the way by 0.1 and still be hit. And we expect our bullet to be nullified once the test is run. And so if we go down, we can see our damage test here, the bullet, speed, damage, and radius. Oh, we might have to run this again. I think I might have modified some things since let's just run that again here. Speed, damage, radius, and nullify. We've got our updates here, so it's updating the first vehicle, then second vehicle, first vehicle, then second vehicle. And we can see here, so the first vehicle is at 000, second vehicle is at 2.5, 0.10 as we set up here. Then if we scroll down, we can see that our bullet, our weapon here, is currently at 0.5, moving to 0 to 1, 1.5, and then 2. And then we can finally see that on this last frame that our target does get hit because our bullet has reached his position, and then our bullet has been nullified, and so our test has passed. The other tests are all very similar. So this is our sonic wave test. Tests the range, damage, and whether or not the sonic wave will nullify. So our sonic wave does have a range of 5, and so we set the second vehicle at a distance of 3.5 away. Now technically, I think, yeah, we could have definitely done this in the Z position as well. but we didn't. We did it in the X and Y. But 3.5 gives us a distance of 4.94 when you're talking about vectors. At least in my vector class it does, the way I have it done. If I just open that up, distance, square root of power, yeah. So I won't go into that. So yes, so 3.5 is a distance of 4.94, so it should be in range. Our expected health is 50, even though our sonic wave only damages 5 points, because it can damage up to a max damage of 50 points, 5 damages per cycle, and we're going for 11 cycles. So technically it should be able to go to 55 damage, but because it's max damage 55, we shouldn't see that, and we're giving it 1 extra to actually nullify itself afterwards. And we do expect it to come back nullified. We expect the second vehicle to come back with 50 health. So if we scroll down to the sonic wave test here, we can see that our sonic wave actually starts damaging him right away because he is in distance right away, but he starts at less than 5 range from him. So he starts getting hit 5 points every frame until a maximum of 50 points, and then he stops, and then the weapon gets nullified. As you can see, the weapon is no longer there. And the test passed. This is where I was going to add a second distance test, but due to time restrictions I didn't. On to the defense mine test here. So this one, again, testing range, damage, and nullify. It creates a new defense mine. The defense mine only has a range of 2, so we're setting it 2 away. Defense mine damages 25 points, so we expect him to come back with 75, and we only need 1 cycle to do so, and we expect it to come back null, because it will explode right away. Excuse me. And if we look down the log here, we can see that the defense mine has gone from 100, or sorry, the first vehicle had 100, second vehicle is down to 75, second vehicle is at position of 200, first vehicle at 000, and we scroll down and see the rest of the information, even though, and the test did pass as well. And then our fourth and final test is our chimney blast test. This one tests the range, the damage, and the nullify as well. New chimney blast starts the second vehicle in the air, 20 units, and which is the max range for the chimney blast. The chimney blast does only do damage of 5 points, but it does unlimited damage up to that point. But because it's only 1 radius and we're making our way up to 20, it should only damage our vehicle one time for a value of 1, or value of 95. And we're going to need 21 cycles to do so, because in the first 20 cycles, the chimney blast will be going up, and then once it reaches its max height, because it has a speed of 1 and a max height of 20, then it will nullify itself on that 21st cycle, and we expect it to nullify itself. And then we see the damage in the chimney blast. We can see that the health of our second vehicle, which is the every second line here, is not touched until the very end. We get 95, or sorry, when we get hit, and then it's the very next frame that our chimney realizes it's at its max height, and it nullifies itself. And that test passed as well. Alright, so that's been Module 03 Weapons Interface by Thomas Van Pommel for PROG2200. Thanks for watching.